Hello RPG fans and welcome back to the Kingdom. There's been a decent amount of requests for this type of challenge run, so ask and ye shall receive. On the 10th challenge run of this channel, can you 100% Final Fantasy I with only Red Mages? The Red Mage can do pretty much everything. They are like a jack of all trades but a master of none. They can only use up to level 5 white magic and black magic, and they can use swords, as well as equip armor. And in speaking of equipment, let's go ahead and equip us with some rules. We must use 4 Red Mages. We cannot ascend the Red Mage to Red Wizard for battles. No glitches, exploits, hacks, mods, free or paid DLC if there is any. And the victory condition is to beat the final storyline boss and get all 24 Steam achievements. I did decide to allow running from battles in this playthrough mainly because we are going to be a little bit better equipped, I think, in terms of healing capabilities. So I did want to make sure that we don't over level for the upcoming bosses, and it also just makes it easier getting through dungeons to the boss in general. I spend just a little bit of time outside Cornelia getting to level 3, but more so getting enough gold to where I can learn Cure on everyone, as well as Protect on a couple of my Red Mages. And then from there, we'll go ahead and go to the Chaos Shrine, and we will attempt to defeat Garland at level 3. And as to be expected, Garland is no match for the 4 Musketeers. We'll escort the princess back to the castle, and the bridge is now repaired. Crossing over the bridge, we encounter a couple random battles, but one of these random battles almost gives us our first game over. They hit really hard, and I had to end up using my only Phoenix down in my inventory to try and win the fight. With Doom Train being the sole survivor of the onslaught, I'm thinking this is going to be a sign that he might actually live throughout this playthrough. Question: if the priest is resurrecting our party, does that make him a necromancer? He might even be corrupt as well because he's charging us gil to do this. I wanted to see how this fight went while not spending any time outside of town leveling, so we go ahead and take on the pirates and they get walloped. They are no match for our Red Mage jutsu. Not gonna lie, it's feeling kinda good to not be struggling right now. I do a few battles and buy some upgraded broadswords for all of our mages, and then we proceed on to the next town. Proceeding all the way to the continent to the south, we stop by Elfheim, stock up on recovery items such as antidotes as we're gonna need them, and then we come across a random battle that has some scorpions in it, and boy do they hit me hard. This kind of made me rethink my strategy of going directly to the cave to see if I was prepared, but instead these guys tell me no, I'm not prepared, so I either need to increase my defenses or try and increase my damage somehow. And so we go back to grinding for a little bit. I press the X button harder and harder because the harder you press it, the more damage you do. I'm just kidding, that's not a thing. Seriously, that's not a thing. After I think I've prepared enough, we hit the sack, we save it, and then we start heading into the cave. Be careful to not touch the bats in here because they can give you rabies. I heal up, quick save, and then activate the chest for a surprise attack that doesn't go too well for them. I'm prepared this time. You can't handle the Red Mages! As if there aren't enough rooms in the castle, we go ahead and sleep outside. We turn in the crown to the Dark Elf Emperor, and he immediately starts off with death. Don't get mad, get glad. The rest of the fight goes how you would probably expect, but he does slow 2 people, and we are actually on the verge of game overing because of that slow. But he cannot stop this train, we just keep on rolling. Choo choo! We revisit the Necromancer to res a couple of our party members, and now we are on to Matoya's cave to give her back her eye. We take the boat, go over to Matoya's, give her the eye, grab the Jolt Tonic, go to the Elfheim Castle, wake the prince, and wait for all of this to blow over. I decided to get the 15 puzzle out of the way because it was really puzzling me. For selfish reasons, we decided that we're going to blow up the dam and allow all of the salt water into the fresh water. Man, we are such good guys right now. We dock at Melmond and pay all the shopkeepers a visit where they become literal millionaires and they can't do anything to fix the town up. What are they doing with all that gil? Next up is the Earth Cave. We go ahead and proceed all the way there. We encounter the vampire, we put him back in his coffin, sorry you're not Vincent, and then we collect the Star Ruby and go ahead and head over to the next cave. The Star Ruby unlocks the door in front of us, and then we collect the Earth Rod and go all the way back through the Earth Shrine, all the way to the Lich. I'm pretty excited about this fight because all the other playthroughs that I've done, I've had heavy melee groups, and so this time I've got magic. So even if he uses slow, it's not going to affect my damage. I'm coming for you, Mr. Lich. I think I got some really good RNG on this fight because he hardly did anything. And when I mean anything, he hit me like once or twice, and then I was able to 100 to 0 him. This felt really good compared to my other playthroughs. It felt really awesome to just completely slam this boss right into the ground. I give Melmon some more of my guild just in case they didn't have enough the first time. We teach several characters some level 5 magic, and then I'm going to break sequence a little bit here and go ahead and head over to Crescent Lake. I rest up, check the shops, get the canoe, and then we are going to head over to the ice cave instead of the volcano. Normally, you would do the volcano first and then the ice cave, but we're going to do that in reverse order. So the ice cave mobs are going to be a little bit stronger than what we're used to at this point in the game, but it shouldn't be too much of a problem. We magically fit the levy stone in whatever backpack we have. I don't know, this thing looks massive. And then we go ahead and go all the way south to the desert where we obtain the airship. With our new favorite toy, the Mach 2 in hand now, we go ahead and fly all the way to the desert in the top left-hand corner of the map. We visit the merchant and we buy the 40,000 gil ferry. From there, we proceed east and clear out all of the dragon caves of all the treasure, and then we will make our way over to Gaia. Gaia is the town that I was really wanting to gain access to as early as possible to try and equip everyone with the latest gear and weapons. Unfortunately, since Red Mages can only gain access to level 5 or below spells, Gaia has nothing to offer us in terms of spells. So we're just stuck looking at all the beautiful things that we can't get. I get the Oxio from the ferry, go to Lufenia where I forget to learn the Rosetta Stone language, and then I get a game over for my trouble. Heading over to Mount Gulg, we go ahead and enter, collect all the chests, and then we heal and quick save before our next boss fight, Merilith. And the flame sword works on all mobs, including the boss in this dungeon, so yeah, I don't know. Just more video game things. I was looking forward to seeing how easy this fight was going to be with Red Mages, and it was exactly that. It was really easy. More than half the time, Merilith was trying to use status effects on my party, so that just means that Merilith was wasting a turn. And Merilith's damage output was about as much as a high potion, so it was extremely manageable. After about 2 minutes, this boss just falls to the ground. It felt really good. Next up is the Citadel of Trials. To successfully make your way through this zone, you will take whichever warp gate is located at the farthest south end or east end if there's more than one. And when you get to this room, you will take this teleporter, which is the third one on the right. From here, it's just a straight shot to the end while collecting all the chests, and then we will defeat the enemy guarding the throne that gives us our teleportation back to the first level. So far during this playthrough, it's feeling really good to have utility, damage, defense, magic damage. Just overall, this has been pretty fun so far compared to my other playthroughs where it's just kind of like brute physical attacks. Making our way all the way through the end of the waterfall cavern, we go ahead and pick up the warp cube from one of the chests, and we are out of here. Next up is Onrak, which is the town located just south of the waterfall we just visited, and we go ahead and visit the shops and cry some more at the spells that we can't use. One day I might be able to use them. One day. With having the Oxio, we can now go into the Sunken Shrine via the barrel on the east side of the town. This is another good area for some fat loot and some fat EXP, and the white sharks here have a chance to drop a coral sword, which can be an upgrade depending on how your equipment is. The music in this zone is so good. I am such a big fan of this. We finally pick up the Rosetta Stone, which will allow us to be taught the Lufenia language. There's really not much to this place with all the random battles being cut out and looting the treasure chests, so we'll go ahead and skip over to our next boss so we can have a crackin' good time. So with this boss being weak to thunder, I was pretty excited to see how quickly this boss would go down, and again, just as we would expect, this boss goes down within like a minute and a half. It is kind of funny though, because he just one-shots one of our party members. He wasn't going down without a fight at all. I mean, he at least tried, you know. I mean, you can't really fault him for trying, but it just wasn't enough at the end of the day. Better luck next time, nerd! With the water crystal restored, the seas are no longer raging, which means absolutely nothing for us. So we go ahead and take a trip back over to Melmond, we learn the Lufenia language from the blonde scholar, and then we head all the way over to Lufenia, where we can now collect the chime. I restock on recovery items before heading over to the Mystic Tower, and on my way over to the tower, I get into a random battle with a Tyrannosaur and he just destroys Glad. I don't know why I found this so funny, but I did. I immediately equip another ribbon helmet once I get it, and we decided to not give it to Doomtrain because we cannot have him keep surviving these battles. If you've watched the previous videos, then you know all about Doomtrain, and we're not about to break that trend. I was kind of nervous going into the Tiamat fight because with the Red Mages, they're not exactly powerful in any one area. And my first attempt against Tiamat was a 13-minute fight just for Tiamat to wipe my party. That was really unfortunate. Tiamat is without a doubt the hardest boss I have fought so far. I immediately retry the boss for my second attempt. This fight was an absolute slugfest. So one of the difficult things about these prolonged fights from a magic standpoint is the only real way I have to recover my MP is dry ethers, which I don't want to use because I know I'm going to need them for chaos. So as soon as the characters are out of their magic for the level 5 or level 2 spells, it's just physical attacks from here with high potions for healing, because I don't want to use the MP for Curaga. I would rather use high potions because the damage output I think is going to be more valuable against Tiamat by using the level 5 spells. So while that strategy was or was not optimal, I mean, who can really say? But after 21 minutes, Tiamat falls. And with the condition that my party was in towards the end, I feel like a game over was just right on the horizon, so I'm really glad I was able to down this boss. So this kind of made me a little bit nervous for the second round against Tiamat in the Chaos Shrine. I restock on recovery items, then head over to Mount D and turn in the Adamantite, so that way we can obtain the Excalibur, and for the third time, no one can use it. Awesome.
Awesome. Yes!
I'm only level 38 going into the Chaos Shrine, which I feel is pretty low right now, but to try and keep the challenge up, I decided to proceed anyway. So our next boss encounter will be a rematch against the Lich. This fight was an absolute snooze fest. All I do was just spam Firaga on him and he falls in about 60 seconds. It felt really good, to be honest. With no shortage of random battles on our way to the next boss, Merilith, we are now level 41 going into the next fight. I kind of wonder if Merilith and Gilgamesh have some sort of backstory with each other since they both use a massive amount of swords. Because I know that a lot of Merilith's damage output that really hurts me comes from physical attacks, I decide to use Knot and Doomtrain for the most part to heal everyone up with Curaga, while Glad and I'm are using Firaga, and then once everyone's topped off, I go ahead and start using more spells with the bottom two Red Mages, and again, Merilith falls in about a minute and a half. But not before she takes out Doomtrain. Hell yeah. As Doomtrain ponders his life choices to become a Red Mage, we go ahead and continue on to the next boss, the Kraken, where immediately Doomtrain gets targeted. While selecting everyone's level 5 spells, I decided to use Slowra against the Kraken just in case he was vulnerable to it, and it turns out he is susceptible to slow. So I thought that was kind of cool. And I thought maybe, just maybe, it might help Doomtrain survive. But nope. The Kraken goes on to kill Doomtrain one more time, and I thought this fight was just absolutely hilarious. I continue spamming Firaga and Thundaga, and the Kraken goes down after a couple minutes. Once the Kraken's defeated, we can go ahead and collect the Masamune on the next level from a chest, and we can finally start doing some damage. Next up is the rematch against Tiamat, but because of how long the first fight took, I wasn't exactly sure how long this fight would take. So I decided to exit out, rest, and then recover all of my restorative items before continuing on to Tiamat. And all of the extra levels certainly won't hurt anyway, since we're going to need to level up for Chaos as well. I start the fight off with stacking 4 rounds of Giant's Gloves on Glad since he has the highest strength, and therefore he's the one that has the Masamune equipped. Once the stacks are done, Glad just goes to town making dragon sushi all over the place. Tiamat was cut up so good, she wished that she wasn't cut up so good. This fight didn't last long at all, using high potions and Curiga as needed while Glad just completely solos the fight. This was awesome. After seeing how the fight played out, I was definitely over nervous going into this fight because Red Mage is OP. Being at only level 48, I decided to try and face Chaos anyway, just to kind of see how far I can get and how far behind I am in terms of levels, so we go ahead and do that. There is a decent amount of RNG on this fight, so what I mean by that is there's two different things that he can do that just game overs me. One is, depending how far into the fight I am, when he casts haste, it just flat out one-shots my entire party for like 750 to 800 damage, which, as you can see, is way more than my max health, so that's unsurvivable. The second one that I encountered a lot, which I definitely feel was really bad RNG, is he can cast Flare, which deals a lot of damage to everyone, about 350, and he ended up casting that twice in a row, just wiping my party. And then on another attempt, he casted it 3 times in a row. Yeah, makes sense of that one. I don't remember which attempt it was, but on one of the attempts, I was either still level 48 or like maybe 52. I was really low level. I had a really good run going, and then he just wiped my party with Flare. I felt like I was right on the verge of being able to kill him at such a low level. It was pretty awesome. It was also an extremely long fight, so of course we had to redo it. Another unfortunate circumstance of these attempts is by spending 5 to 8 turns using the Giant's Gloves on the character who has the Masamune, and then Chaos just kills him, like usually by casting haste on himself and then just 1 or 2 shots that person. It's just really unfortunate, and it's pretty much game over at that point because it's going to take that many more turns to try and build the giant stacks up when everyone's already sub 100% HP, burning elixirs or X potions, etc. And with being that late into the fight, he's got a pretty good chance at casting Curiga on himself, which heals himself for 10,000, so all of the damage that I would have already done gets completely wiped away. With burning quite a few attempts and hours on trying to down Chaos, I decided that I wanted to try and remove a little bit of the RNG element from it, and I had to do something that I haven't done in any of my other playthroughs yet, and that is to go and farm lesser tigers in the Giant's Cave. For those who don't know, the lesser giants do have a chance to drop an X potion, which is extremely valuable in the Chaos fight and or the War Mech fight in the Flying Fortress. I believe I spent anywhere from 2 to 4 hours in this cave trying to farm the lesser tigers, and I ended up getting 6 more X potions, so I believe I have a total of 7 going into the Chaos fight. And before we head back up there, we go ahead and refuel on all of our recovery items and start working our way back up. I wasn't intentionally trying to farm levels, but we spent a lot of time in that Giant's Cave, so we are now level 67 going into the Chaos attempt. For this Chaos attempt, I believe I stacked up Giant's Gloves 8 times, if I recall. I wasn't really sure how much of a damage difference it was past 5 stacks. I didn't really notice anything, but apparently the max is 10, and this is just from previous comments and suggestions that people have made, so whether that's true or not, I don't actually know, but I do feel like I noticed a massive damage difference with at least 5 stacks. But we went ahead and went to 8. We started doing Protect on everyone, which I feel doesn't really benefit anyone for this fight, especially when he casts haste. I just don't really think it benefits anyone, but I could be wrong. But I decided to use 3 Red Mages as healers, so I didn't want to use any of their magic to damage Chaos for the most part if I can avoid it. And with all of the X potions that we have, everyone is mostly responsible for using an X potion on themselves as a priority. Because what Chaos likes to do is when people are low is he'll like to use a AoE attack, and if one person is using an X potion on another person, and the other person ends up dying, then that X potion just goes to someone else who most likely doesn't even need it, so it's a complete waste. And I got extremely lucky right here. So the Red Mage Not is the one who has the Masamune and the one stacking the Giant's Gloves, and he drops to double digits. And I was just like, oh great, is this where the run is just going to die again? Because if Not dies, then I lose all of my stacks. So I managed to get an X potion off on Not as well as some other people. And I continued to press the attack with Not every single turn, and we managed to defeat Chaos with Doom Train alive. That is an accomplishment in itself. When Chaos died, I was actually quite surprised that he was already down. I think that the Red Mages aren't particularly OP. I definitely had an easier time, I think, with the Thieves or the Monks on Chaos, but I did have to farm X potions to be able to down Chaos. I didn't really want to boost my level up super high, so I decided to get the X potions instead, which may not have been needed, but I wanted to try something a little different. With Chaos down, there's a couple things left still to do, and one of them is to find Warmech. So we went over to the Flying Fortress, fully recovered our recovery items, and we spent quite a few hours here trying to run into him, and we went through almost all of our recovery items again, including our ethers. So this was actually kind of bad. But luckily we did encounter him towards the very end of our recovery item usage, and he goes down within a few shots. And last but not least, we head all the way over to Bahamut and turn in the Rat's Tail to ascend our class from Red Mage to Red Wizard, and that completes the 100%. And so, can you 100% Final Fantasy I with only Red Mages? And yes, you can. I think most of us assumed that the answer was already yes, but it's always good to see a video on it of it actually being done. And I actually had a lot of fun throughout this playthrough. This is a little bit shorter of a video just because I feel like I don't want to be repeating myself over and over and over of the last two videos that I've already done. So this one's a little bit shorter. Hope you guys enjoyed it. My Discord link as well as other socials are in the description below, as well as the previous challenge runs that I've done, of which two of the most recent being Lost Sphere and I Am Setsuna. Those aren't really popular games, but the challenge run for those games, I haven't seen another challenge run on YouTube at all about those two games, but those were actually pretty tough. So if you guys could check those out, that would be awesome. If you've got suggestions on a game that you would like me to play with or without a rule set, there is a section in my Discord for that, as well as a community post on my YouTube channel that you are more than welcome to post in, and I can definitely take a look into it. And did you know that only 7.4% of the viewers are subscribed to this channel? And we're getting pretty close to 4-digit sub numbers, so thank you to everyone, whether you are subscribed or not. Thank you very much for spending your time on this channel and watching these videos, and I will look forward to seeing you guys in the next challenge run. Until then, take care, guys. Bye-bye.